Hello everyone. So far, we studied that everybody is trying to persuade Shylock to not take the forfeiture from Antonio. But Shylock is adamant on taking the forfeiture. He doesn't listen to anybody's request. Now Nerissa enters the court. She is dressed like a lawyer's clerk and presents a letter to the Duke, which is sent by Dr. Valerio. Now let's come to the detailed explanation of the scene, Act 4, Scene 1, line number 130. Gratiano. Oh, be thou damned, inexcusable dog. Oh, let you be damned, you obstinate dog. He means he calls him to be a person who cannot be insulted and cursed enough. And for thy life let justice be accused, and let justice be blamed that you are alive. Thou almost makest me waver in my faith to hold opinion with Pythagoras. You almost make me unsteady in my Christian faith and incline me to believe in Pythagoras' theory that souls of animals infuse themselves into the trunk of men, and the theory is that the soul of animal enter into the bodies of men. Thy courage spirit governed a wolf who hanged for human slaughter. Even from the gallows did his fell soul fleet, and whilst thou layest in thy unhallowed damned, infuse itself in thee. Your vile spirit once inhabited a body of a wolf who was hanged for killing human. And even from the gallows, that is the place where it was supposed to be hanged, his cruel soul sped away. And while you lay in the unholy womb of your mother, the soul entered into your body. For thy desires are wolfish, bloody, starved, and ravenous, because what you desire is wolf-like, bloodthirsty, starved, and hungry. Here Gratiano speaks about Pythagoras' theory. Pythagoras, he was a Greek philosopher who believed that souls of men and animals appeared several times on the earth, assuming sometimes higher and sometimes lower forms of life. And this you need to remember. Shylock. Till thou canst rail the seal from off my bond, thou but offendest thy lungs to speak so loud. Until you can speak the word of abuse, which will actually remove the legal seal from my agreement, till then you are putting your lungs to useless labor. Repair thy wit, good youth, or it will fall to cruelless ruin. Come to your senses, young man, or you will destroy yourself. I stand here for law, so I am here for justice. Shylock tells them that until you can speak a word which can remove the legal seal from the agreement, you are making useless attempt to try to persuade me to forgive the forfeiture. Duke. This letter from Valerio doth commend a young and learned doctor to our court. Where is he? Duke was reading a letter. The letter was from Valerio. He says that that particular letter recommends a young and a learned doctor to this court in place of Valerio. Nerissa. He attendeth here hard by to know your answer whether you will admit him. He is present here just close by, just to know your answer whether you will let him in the court. Duke. With all my heart, some 3 or 4 of you to give him courteous conduct to this place. Meantime, the court shall hear Valerio's letter. With all my heart I welcome him, and some 3 or 4 of you please go and lead him politely into the court. And in the meanwhile, We will listen to what Valerio writes in this letter. Clerk. He reads out the letter. Your Grace shall understand that at the receipt of your letter I am very sick. I wish your Grace to understand that I am very ill. I was very ill when I received a letter. But in the instant that your messenger came in loving visitation was with me a young doctor of Rome. His name is Balthazar. And at that same moment when your messenger came to me, I was accompanied by a young doctor of Rome who is Balthazar, who had come to see me on a friendly visit. I acquainted him with the cause in controversy between the Jew and Antonio the merchant. I have told him about the reason of dispute between the Jew and Antonio the merchant. We turned over many books together. We looked into many books together. He is furnished with my opinion, which bettered with his own learning. He is well acquainted with my thoughts and opinion, which is even improved with his own learning and understanding. The greatness whereof I cannot enough commend comes with him at my opportunity, and the extent of which I cannot praise too highly, and he brings all that with him at my request to your court, to fill up your Grace request in my stead, to fill up your command in my place. I beseech you, let his lack of years be no impediment to let him lack a reverend estimation. I request you, let his being young in age be not a hindrance to receive high respect from you. For I never knew so young a body with so old a head, because I have never seen such a young man having such a matured brain. I leave him to your gracious acceptance, whose trial shall better publish his commendation. So I leave him to your acceptance, and when you try him, you will find that he is much better than any praise can do. Duke. You hear the learned Valerio what he writes, and here I take it is the doctor comes. So do all of you hear what learned Valerio writes? And now I think the doctor is here in the court. Enter Portia dressed like a doctor of law. Give me your hand. Come you from old Valerio. Shake hands, sir. Do you come from old Valerio? Portia. I did, my lord. Yes, my lord. Duke. You are welcome. Take your place. Are you acquainted with the difference that holds this present question in the court? Are you told about the nature of the dispute involved in the present case before the court? Portia. I am informed thoroughly of the cause, which is the merchant here and which the Jew. I am informed thoroughly of the case. Who is the merchant here and who is the Jew? Duke. Antonio and old Shylock both stand in front. Portia. Is your name Shylock? Shylock. Shylock is my name. Portia. Of a strange nature is the suit you follow, yet in such rule that the Venetian law cannot impugn you as you do proceed. Of a strange nature is the case that you follow, yet it is according with the rule in such a way that the law of Venice cannot find with the case that you follow. To Antonio. You stand within his danger, do you not? You stand in the danger from him, do you not? Antonio. Yes, so he says. Yes, that is what he says. Portia. Do you confess the bond? Do you admit having made this bond? Made this agreement? Antonio. I do. Yes, I have entered into that bond. Portia. Then must the Jew be merciful. Then the Jew must show some mercy. Shylock. On what compulsion must I? Tell me that. Under what compulsion should I show mercy? You tell me that. Portia. This speech is the most mercy speech of Portia and an important one. The quality of mercy is not strained. The quality of mercy is not forced, cannot be forced from anybody. It droppeth as a gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. So this mercy, it drops as a gentle rain from heaven on the earth beneath. The quality of mercy is blessed twice. It blesses the person who shows mercy and also the person who receives mercy. It's mightiest in the mightiest. It is the most powerful in the men with most power. It becomes the throned monarch better than his crown. It is a noble quality in the royal king, more noble than the crown which he wears. His sceptre shows the force of temporal power, the attribute to awe and majesty. The king's sceptre is a symbol of the earthly power, which is the main characteristic of a king who commands power and grandeur. Wherein doth sit the dread and fear of king, and in that the fear of the king dwells. But mercy is above this sceptred sway. But mercy is far above this world that is ruled by men with sceptres, that is with earthly power. It is enthroned in the heart of king. It is deep rooted in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute to God itself. It is a quality that belongs to God himself. And earthly power doth then show like as gods when mercy seasons justice. The power of king is most divine in its working when justice is mingled with mercy. Therefore, Jew, though justice be thy plea, therefore, Jew, though justice be thy demand, consider this. Remember that in the course of justice, none of us should see salvation, that if we were to be judged according to the strict justice of God, none of us will be saved. We do pray for mercy, and that same prayer doth teach us all to render the deeds of mercy. We all pray for mercy to God, and that same prayer for mercy teaches us to show mercy to others. I have spoke thus much to mitigate the justice of thy plea. I have spoken too much to moderate your demand for justice, which if thou follow, the strict court of Venice must needs give sentence against the merchant there, which if you still follow, then this strict court of Venice has to pass a judgment, a sentence against Antonio there. With this speech of mercy, Portia tries to persuade Shylock to show mercy on Antonio and forgive the forfeiture. With this, I end the explanation of this part. Explanation of the next scene, the later scene, you will find in the next video. Thank you.